Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. National Financial Literacy Month is celebrated in April, which is a great opportunity for us to check and promote our financial situation and skills. Joining me is Kemberley, Washington tax analyst at Forbes Advisor, a trusted destination for unbiased personal finance advice, news, and reviews to discuss what to do with your tax money. Kemberley, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And this is such a great topic. We're at the perfect time of year to discuss this. How do you save and spend your tax returns? Do you tackle debt first?
It really does depend, of course, on your certain situation. So if you're someone who has high credit card debt, high interest credit card debt, you may want to tackle that first. If you're someone who's sitting around and saying, okay, I don't have enough money saved in case of an emergency, you may want to take some of that money, of course, and put it aside as it relates to emergency. So it really does depend on your situation at this time.
Do you have to put all of your refund toward debt and emergency savings?
So it depends, of course, like I said. So if you are someone who's sitting around and say, okay, I have too much as it relates to credit card debt, you may want to tackle that first. But the best thing to do is to make sure you take your money and you maybe look at it and say, okay, well, what's going to be my plan concerning my tax refund? You may want to decide, I'll put some money towards emergency funds, but I also put a plan in place and write down all of my debts from highest interest rate to lowest and start tackling those different credit card debts first.
How do you prioritize big ticket necessities like car repairs, tuition, medical bills?
Start with your needs first, right? So if you're in a situation, maybe you need to take care of automobile expense or repairing your vehicle, you may want to start that first. Of course, if you need your car to get to your job and run errands and whatever the case may be. So you want to kind of put your priorities in place and say, okay, what are my needs first? And then go all the way down your list as it relates to your wants and some things, of course, that you can live without, but make sure you take care of your needs first.
What are some of the common mistakes that you hear about? I know when you get that direct deposit or the check in hand and you see this big amount, it really is quite thrilling, but I'm sure there are a lot of mistakes that are made with that.
Not having a plan, right? So before you get that money, have a plan. Like I stated before, of course, it depends on your certain situation, but not having a plan is the biggest mistake you can have as it relates to the tax refund or receiving any type of windfall. Sit down, write out a plan, get an idea and say, okay, well, this money is going to be used for this money is going to be used for that. So that way, when you get it, you just don't splurge it on little things because before you know, of course, it can be gone.
You know, it's so interesting, Kimberly. I actually started doing that a few years ago, and it helped me to be more diligent for the entire year because it was very specific. It was written down. It was probably one of those smarter things that I've done as an adult. How do you plan ahead for the next year? Are there any other tax tips that we should be aware of for this time of year?
I think that's a good point, what you mentioned. People don't realize just the power in writing it down. So that's the first stuff you want to do. Make sure you write everything down. But the second thing you want to do, give a good look at what happened last year as it relates to your tax refund, your tax situation. So that way you can plan for next year. So let me give you a quick example. One of the things that you can do right now, if you're getting a very large refund, you may want to adjust that at this time. There's a tool on the irs.gov website. It's a paycheck tax withholding calculator. You can put in your information. You can determine whether or not what it would take to simply break even. That way you can use that money throughout the year for investing or savings or tackling those credit cards or whatever the case may be so that you can start using the money right now.
All right, Kemberley, we appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.